これが最後だ。彼女を解放しなさい。
Street. The earthquake takes away the secrets and all the aftershocks subside in the sea. The Jiga Alam seems briefly clear of the gloom. Under this clear sky, Artem and you are both acutely aware the story is far from over. You and Artem walk side by side on the bustling street of the lower district. Artem suddenly leans closer to you when you pass an intersection.
誰かに見張られているようだ。気をつけよう。
You casually glance toward the side of the street where the dusty glass reflects overlapping shadows. Your thoughts drift back to yesterday. The restaurant. This beef rice noodle is so delicious. You should try some too, Mr. Wing. Mr. James' matter has come to a close, so you and Artem can finally enjoy the local scenery and culture like real tourists. You're dining at a restaurant popular among locals, a moment that should be relaxing. Yet Artem, sitting opposite you, appears somewhat distracted. He doesn't seem to hear what you're saying. His gaze passes through the glass and lands on a mahjong parlor with a neon sign across the street. It's hard to tell what he's looking at. Mr. Wing? You softly call his name again, and only then does Artem's attention finally snap back, his expression returning to normal.
ああ、フォーの話だったな。
Yes, I want you to try it. He nods and puts some beef rice noodles into the bowl, but only takes one bite.
確かに悪くないな。気に入ったならたくさん食べるといい。
Artem makes a brief comment, then puts down his chopsticks and tilts his head slightly. His gaze falls on the neon sign again. The overhead light casts a small shadow over his eyes, making him look somewhat solemn. Now that everything is over, what is Mr. Wayne thinking about? You can't help but wonder what's on his mind. At this moment, the waiter brings over the freshly prepared dessert. Remembering the server's introduction of the dessert when you ordered, you push the porcelain bowl toward Artem. The sound of the bowl dragging across the table makes him look back.
君が食べたいと言って注文したはずだが、気が変わったのか？
Well, you look troubled, so I think you'd be better off having it. It's pistachio almond soup. I hope it will cheer you up. Artem looks surprised for a moment and lowers his eyes.
私はそれほど顔に出ていただろうか。
Yes, you seem a little distracted. At first, I thought it was about Mr. Jin, but after thinking about it, with everything settled and no loose ends left, I figured you might be facing some other worries. Mr. Wing, would you like to tell me about it? Two heads are better than one. Somehow, you feel that emotions like worries should not appear on Artem's face. He looks up at you and doesn't respond for a few seconds, as if he is trying to figure out what to say.
実は悩みというほどのものではない。先日研究で重要な依頼があった。少し込み入った案件ですぐに対処しなければならないんだ。隠すつもりはなかったが機会を逃してしまってな。
I see. That's okay. I understand.
そう言ってもらえると気が楽になる。だがこれから数日は君と島を巡る時間も取れそうにない。
Hearing the regret in Arthur's voice, you immediately blurt out the idea that comes to your mind. Since it's an important job, I'm willing to offer my assistance. We both came to the island as gray area attorneys. It will be a little cold-hearted to leave you behind halfway.
しかし、前回の件は済んでいるし、君が義務を負うことではない。せっかくの休みなのだから、帰る前にこの旅を存分に楽しみなさい。もったいないだろ。
There's no such thing as should or shouldn't. We came to the island for an investigation, not just for a holiday. And I believe that if we do it together, it will be much easier. Artem is taken aback for a moment, seemingly not expecting your insistence. His fingertips lightly tap the table, his gaze fixed on the white porcelain bowl.
本心を言えば、君を連れて行くことも考えた。だが、この案件のリスクを考えたときに、
Even more reason for me to help. In case of an emergency, two heads are better than one, right? Artem raises his head slightly and meets your eyes again. He stops tapping his fingers as if he's made up his mind.
ありがとう。依頼人に連絡して、状況を説明するから、少し待っていてくれ。
You nod at Artem and he gets up and leaves the restaurant. Through the glass, you see him holding up his foot and putting it next to his ear. The soft sunlight falls on him, dispelling the shadows over his eyes. After a while, Artem returns to the opposite seat with a slightly serious expression.
先方に話は通してあるが、事態の重要さを鑑みて、もう一度確認させてほしい。君がこれから参加することは、それなりに危険が伴う案件だ。それでも、私と一緒に来てくれるか。
Yes, of course. You made Artem's gaze and answer without hesitation. When you heard his explanation just now, you knew that it's far more than a simple job. Guest room. The night sky outside is as dark as ink, dotted with countless stars, and you are in Artem's room listening to him explain the details. It turns out that during the time around the earthquake, the International Financial Risk Action Group or IFRA contacted Artem through Darius Morgan. IFRA hopes Artem can complete a special task using his identity on this island. The target is a pharmaceutical group named Dylan Mayer, whose primary leader is
表
Ash.
向きは医薬品を扱う普通の企業だが、実態は医療を隠れ蓑にした資金洗浄組織だと IFRA の調査で明らかになった。取り扱う分野は多岐にわたる。医薬品、医療器具、医療施設に限らず、医療に関わるものなら何でも彼らの資金洗浄の道具になるそうだ。
Autumn hands you a document labeled with confidential. You quickly go through the content and start to ask. According to the document, IFRA has been investigating Dylan Marriott for almost half a year, but they still haven't found any direct evidence. Did they contact you because they found a clue?
その通りだ。シンジガ島はさほど広い島ではないからな。各勢力間には何らかの結びつきがある。当然、ディレンメアと銭林も裏でつながりを持っていたが、例の一件が明るみになり、追及を避けるべく早々に関係を解消したいらしい。そこで、これまでの契約書の処分や組織内の流通ルート隠蔽のために、その手の問題に通じた弁護士を探しているようだ。ディレンメアに潜伏していた者からその情報を得た IFRA はすぐに岩崎さんを通じて私に接触を図った。今回の機会を利用して内部に入り込み、証拠をつかんで彼らを一網打尽にするために力を貸してほしいと。
Given the sudden timing and your role as a gray area attorney arriving on the island, you are undoubtedly the perfect fit. You speak with certainty, but Autumn shakes his head gently.
君も手を貸してくれると言ったじゃないか。だから 私たち二人合わせて、この上ない適任だろ？
You have a point, Mr. Wing. Artem sorts through the other scattered papers, and you skillfully hand him the file folder on the table, along with a fountain pen. The time you spent with Artem has allowed you to understand the meaning behind some of Artem's habits and actions.
計画では、明後日にアッシュという男と接触することになっている。IFRA の方で、あらかた準備は整えている。信じが島における私たちの調査の足取りが向こうに知られることはない。だが、それなりに懸念はある。
At this point, Artem frowned slightly, circling a photo on the topmost file with his fountain pen. The man in the photo is well dressed and refined. From his appearance alone, it would be hard to imagine he is a key figure in a money laundering group. Ash, are you worried he'll affect the plan?
そうだ。IFRA の計画は綿密だが、彼の存在は大きな不確定要素だと言えるだろう。情報によれば、気分屋で情緒不安定な人物として界隈で知られているらしい。つまり、常識では測れないんだ。昼にいたレストランの向かいにあった雀荘を覚えているか？アッシュがプライベートで立ち寄る場所と言われていて、大抵は4日おきに部下を連れて訪れるそうだが、今日は姿を見せなかった。
You are reminded of why Artem had fixed his gaze on that mahjong parlor. His unusual behavior back then finally makes sense. Artem then hands you the files related to Ash, and as you take them, your fingers accidentally touch his palm. According to the files, Ash had a rough childhood, which made him paranoid and unpredictable. He got to the top by being really ruthless. His connections include many wealthy merchants outside the circle, such as Sasha, the local jewelry giant. You immediately understand Artem's concern. So, you're worried that Ash might come after us in advance and might even attempt to test us?
彼の性格を考えれば十分あり得るだろう。だから、こちらも備えておきたい。特筆すべきこととして、彼らと初めて接触を試みる場合には暗黙の了解があり、黒い覆面をかぶせられ、拘束された上でどこかに連れて行かれるようだ。
Artem and you make a plan and decide to continue posing as gray area attorneys on the island to avoid exposing your identities. If you meet with Ash, you will introduce yourself as Artem's assistant. By the time everything is discussed, it's really late, but the stars are so bright they outshine the lights of the upper district. Even though now we have a plan, but I really hope we'll have some luck, and Ash doesn't get in our way early on.
たとえ彼が予想外の行動をとったとしても、私たちならうまく対応できるはずだ。安心するといい。とはいえ、もうこんな時間か。送っていくとしよう。
You nod at Artem. After tidying up a bit, you head out. Your room is not far from his at the end of the corridor. When you get to the door, the neon decorations on the wall shift colors, casting a soft, rosy light on Artem's face, like he's had a couple of drinks.
ゆっくり休みなさい。明日からはその余裕がなくなるかもしれないからな。
Mr. Wing, you too.
では、
Good
いい
night.
夜を。
You two say it at the same time, which is surprising yet somehow natural. Artem and you look at each other and smile. You go inside and close the door. The last bit of relaxation for the night is shut out. Street. The clock hands are moving fast, and with the green light coming on, your mind snaps back to the present. The figures reflecting on the glass wall also begin to move. You and Autumn follow the crowd through the intersection, only to catch sight of the few people following you not far away. They're following us so close.
気を張らずに気づいていないふりをするんだ。
Autumn still maintains the posture of whispering to you, as if you found a secret area worth talking about on the street. Suddenly, a man dressed all in black, looking like a bodyguard, appears on and blocks your way.
お二方、お待ちください。
お前は
私は単なる伝言係です。我々のボスが佐京先生の手腕に興味を持ち、ぜひお会いしたいと仰せつかっております。
Artem doesn't respond but looks at you, your mind running rapidly. You read the same answer from his expression. Your identities have not been disclosed to more people. Given the current circumstances, this is undoubtedly information spread by Ash, and it may even be the trap he set up. His purpose is more than obvious. He needs an outsider to assess Artem before you two meet him, to see if Artem is up to the task. After making eye contact with you, Artem shifts his gaze back, maintaining the same arrogant tone as before.
依頼を受けるのは構いませんが、私も安く見られたものだな。
佐京先生がお越しになるなら、報酬は前向きに検討すると。
Hearing what he said, Artem lightly raises his eyebrows, skillfully putting on the grit typical of a gray area attorney.
それは結構。案内してください。
すでにお迎えの用意はできております。どうぞこちらへ。
The bodyguard finishes the instructions with a polite tone, steps aside, and then you see a brand new super fancy matte grey business van parked on the street. At this moment, the day is sunny and warm. Under the bodyguard's gaze, Artem first lets you into the van. The AC is on full blast inside. Reception room. The business van travels smoothly, and about 30 minutes later, it passes through a private road and arrives at a secluded villa hidden in the city. The villa's western retro decor stands out in the chaotic lower district, and it definitely reflects the owner's high status and wealth. The bodyguard leads you and Artem into the living room, where a well-dressed lady is sitting by the table drinking tea. She wears a blue diamond ring the size of a pigeon egg on her left hand. It's her. You recognize this face instantly. This person is part of Ash's connections mentioned in last night's files. You remember she's a jeweler known as Sasha. You sneakily glance at Artem. He looks calm and clearly knows who he's dealing with.
ボス、お客様がお見えになりました。
The lady doesn't speak, just gives a slight nod. The bodyguard leaves on his own, leaving you all alone. Then she picks up her teacup and takes a sip.
どうぞ座ってください。
You and Artem sit down naturally. There's no room for shyness in a scene like this. The server standing nearby immediately pours warm tea for you and then retreats back to his position. Looking at the steaming tea, you have no mood to taste it. After all, in such a situation, you have to be on your guard. Artem doesn't touch his cup either. He looks at the lady's left hand and speaks.
私の見間違いでなければ、そちらの指輪のブルーダイヤモンドは、世に5つしか出回っていないものでしょう。
佐京先生目利きなのね。これは少し前に手に入れたのだけど、落札するのに随分と苦労したわ。特注でリング台を作らせたの。
The lady gently caresses the ring band, and she moves her hand. As she moves her hand, the blue diamond shines with a dazzling natural color in the light. From her tone, it seems she greatly appreciates that Artem can tell how valuable the diamond is. Of course, gray area attorneys always have a keen eye for anything that represents money.
世間話はこれくらいにしましょう。私も暇ではないの。どうして佐京先生が島にいらっしゃることを知ったのかは、 教えてあげられませんけど、私の問題を解決してくださるなら、いいねでお支払いしましょう。
Facing her generous offer, Artem nods slightly.
その様子を見た限り、報酬の心配はいらないようですね。慎んで引き受けましょう。
As he takes out a business card from the inner pocket of his suit, you follow and take out the business card you prepared in advance. Artem shifts sideways, put his business card on your palm, gives you a quick glance, and then looks back at her.
彼女は私の唯一のアシスタントだ。
Madam, nice to meet you. Here are our business cards. You put on a standard smile, stand up, and present the two business cards to the lady, but she just glances at them, seemingly not really interested in the information.
私の問題はそう複雑じゃないの。多少ややこしくはありますけどね。
Please, feel free to speak. Mr. Wing will definitely consider the optimal solution for your perspective. You open the note-taking app on your phone and begin speaking in a composed way, acting like the best assistant ever for the client. At this moment, the lady raises her hand to rub her forehead, sighing with annoyance.
外国人の夫と離婚させてくれるかしら。
Artem doesn't rush to answer. Instead, he raises his eyebrows cautiously.
これほど手間をかけて私たちを招き、高額な報酬を約束しながら、離婚の調停ですか？
そう簡単な話でもないの。ねえ先生、私があなたに依頼しているのに、ただの離婚のお願いをする奥さんに見える？
The lady gently caresses her ring setting again. Seeing that Artem doesn't ask any more questions, she continues.
事実だけを言えば、この離婚で有責にあたる配偶者は私の方。だけど、対面を保てない離婚裁判なんか冗談じゃない。最終的な財産分与で少なくとも8割は分取りたいの。
Does your husband have any evidence related to the fault?
もちろん。だけど、具体的にどれだけの証拠を持っているのかは知らない。バレた後、すぐに別居することになったから。
About the premarital property,
結婚前は仲が良かったから、婚前契約なんて結んでなかった。法律上、結婚前に持っていた財産も共有財産になって、今更分けるのは難しいというのは理解しているつもりよ。そうでもなければ、あなたたちに相談しようとも思いませんし。どう？この依頼についてアドバイスはあるのかしら。
her emphasis falls on the last three words, and the lady's expression shifts from annoyance to playfulness. She is the one at fault but wants 80% of the marital assets and a dignified win in the divorce case. That's pretty much impossible. You suspect she must have consulted several other attorneys in advance, and that's why she's giving you this tough challenge to see if you can truly impress her. According to normal defense thinking, it would basically be impossible. You take a deep breath and look at Artem. He looks very calm, not even raising his eyebrows. You immediately realize that he already has a plan in mind, and what you need to do next is to cooperate with him. Noticing your gaze, Artem looks back and gives you a comforting nod.
あら、左京先生でも難しいですか？
いいえ。私を呼んでおいて、つまらない訴訟では興ざめですから。なかなか面白そうだと思いましてね。一つ聞かせてください。財産分与は、本当に8割だけでいいのでしょうか
8割だけで？
The lady is stunned for a moment, not expecting Artem to ask back so confidently, and you immediately understand and explain to the lady. Madam, what Mr. Wing means is... We can make it happen, even if you want your husband to live with nothing.
全財産？
Surprise shows on the lady's face. Realizing it's undignified, she quickly picks up her teacup and sips to cover up.
お金は大いに越したことがない。だいたい大半は私のものだったのに。他の弁護士にも相談したけど、どいつもこいつも要望を叶えられる保証はないと弱腰だった。6割も手に入ればいい方とすら言われたのよ。それなのにあいつから根こそぎ奪えるですって？何をどうすればいいのか聞かせなさい。
The blue diamond sparkles brightly, casting a harsh light that makes the lady's face look fierce and greedy. Even if there was real love before, it means nothing in the face of absolute interest. Arthur smiles, not surprised to hear that.
全財産をお望みなら、こちらにも 2% 上乗せしてもらいたい。それに、いくらかあなた自身もリスクを負うことになりますが。
見くびらないで結構よ。私が今まで乗り越えてきたものに比べれば、こんなリスク、痛くも痒くもない。
その言葉があれば十分です。それでは早速、段取りを説明しましょう。まず、ご主人の手元にある証拠がどんなものか調査し、適切に処分します。次に、ご主人の外国籍を利用し、現地の法律に照らし合わせて、陪審員制度を取り入れる。あとはシナリオ次第です。精神疾患、外傷の診断書など、証拠の偽造も必要ですが。
Artem's answer exceeds your expectations. Hearing it, you couldn't help but feel a chill running down your spine. Bribery, false evidence, and framing. What he proposed is backed by solid evidence and flawless logic. If you weren't certain of Artem's integrity, you would almost believe that the person before you is really a gray area attorney.
その案いいじゃない。診断書なら任せておいて。当てがあるから。信頼できる人たちだからうまくやってくれる。他のことについては必要な時にまた連絡しましょう。
The lady finally puts away the business cards she had just placed on the table, and then makes a call in front of you.
もしもし、私だけど。例の人合格よ。悪知恵が働くし、かなり卑劣な手も使うし。こっちの仕事に慣れていて、実力は申し分ないと思う。それで次は？ずいぶんと焦っているのね。わかった。言った通りにするから。
The lady hangs up the phone and raises her head. In an instant, the bodyguard runs in with a group of men in black surrounding you and Artem. What is she going to do? The men in black are just surrounding you, but they aren't making any other moves. The lady slowly sips her tea again as if the atmosphere right now is very peaceful.
佐京先生、あなたのことは気に入りました。そちらのアシスタントさんも。
光栄です。
Thank you for the compliment, Miss Adam. Her polite compliment eases some of your tension, but then she suddenly speaks again.
ただ残念ですけど、おしゃべりしているわけにもいかないみたい。あなたたちに会いたい友人がいるの。無礼を許してくださいね。
As soon as she said that, you feel a hot object suddenly press against your back. Its oval-shaped opening is very cool, making you immediately tense up. At the same time, you recall the unwritten rule mentioned last night. It seems that the next step in that phone call is to take you to see Ash very soon. Before you can see Artem's expression, your mouth is rudely tipped shut, and then a burlap cloth is placed over your face. Your vision instantly goes dark, leaving you in complete blackness. Your heart pounds wildly in the darkness. You can only feel you and Artem being tied to another car. After a bumpy ride, the car finally stops at somewhere. The car door switches open and the noise from the street rushes in, along with the sound of distinct movements, but they don't let you get out of the car. Are we still in the lower district? Is Mr. Wing being taken away first? You touch the edge of the seat with both hands, trying to feel if the person next to you is still in the car, but instead you hear an angry shout.
おい、勝手に動くなよ。
You quickly stop your movement, not to show your understanding, and struggle to maintain the balance. It doesn't take long, it is probably just a few minutes before someone drags you out of the car and pushes you into a messy place. You seem to be passing through a narrow corridor, occasionally bumping into others' elbows with the unpleasant smell of cigarette smoke and the chaotic noise all around you. The smell of cigarette smoke and the clacking of mahjong tiles. Could it be that mahjong parlor? Before you can think further, a heavy, muffled impact and a few choking sounds come from deeper within, making you feel frightened amid the noises. Stop this voice! The person behind you suddenly pushes you into an enclosed space and pulls off your hood. The first thing you see as your vision clear is Artem, bound and pressed forcefully against a mahjong table. A metal gun presses coldly and dangerously against his temple. Swing! You can't help but call out to him, but with your mouth taped shut, you can only let out a faint wail. Artem is looking up proudly at the man beside the gunman, his bangs hanging from his forehead on the table. Though he looks a bit disheveled, he still maintains his composure. Thankfully, he doesn't seem to be really injured. You breathe a sigh of relief, but the unease lingers.
これがディレンメア流のもてなしか？
左京先生が本当に客人たりうるか誰にもわからないからね。羊の皮をかぶった狼じゃないと誰が保証してくれるのかい？
That man has his back to you, so you couldn't see his face, but his voice is exactly the same as in the video you had watched last night. He is Ash. A chill runs down your spine. Despite the lady showing her recognition of you over the phone, he remains suspicious. The test has not ended yet, but is just beginning from this very moment.
ここでの決まり事に詳しいわけではないが、少なくともこれだけはわかる。このようなやり方が広まれば評判は暴落する。今後の取引先がなくなっても構わないのか？
Artem raises his head and speaks provocatively, but Ash shows no reaction, as if he has been through this kind of thing a million times.
実力さえあれば評判はおのずとついてくる。手段なんて大した問題じゃない。左京先生、焦らないでくれ。そんなに慌ててると何か後ろめたいことがあるんじゃないかともっと疑いたくなるから。
時間なら腐るほどある。本当に焦っているのはどちらだろうな。
After saying that, a look of disgust appears on Artem's face. To avoid making eye contact with Ash, he shifts his gaze downward, which happens to fall on you.
君はいつの間に。
Swing.
彼女を解放するんだ。さもなければ容赦しない。
I'm fine, but it's you. You can't speak, so you have to convey your emotions through shaking your head, but his tone carries a wild and crazy arrogance. Hearing this, Ash slowly turns around and looks at you, and then at Artem with a playful look, like watching a funny play.
左京先生、その自信はどこから来たんだ？縛られてるのはあなたなのに、まるで自分がこの場を掌握しているかのような口ぶりじゃないか。
冗談だと思うか？この部屋にいる者たち全員にディレンメアの秘密を言いたくて仕方がないようだな。
The secret of Dilemma? Is he trying to...
どれから始める？ 3ヶ月前の9桁に及ぶ取引か？それとも
やめろ。
Ash's face changes right away, and he shouts to stop because what Artem reveals is the money laundering records of the Dylan Mayer Group.
急にどうしたんだアッシュさん？焦っているように見えるが、何か後ろめたいことでも？これが最後だ。彼女を解放しなさい。
The room is silent, no one daring to speak as Artem and Ash stare at each other. The atmosphere remains tense, hanging in a delicate balance. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door. A young man dressed like a delinquent enters the room, clearly one of Ash's underlings.
今日戻ったのか？
はい、ボス。調べがつきました。
The delinquent named Jiang steps forward and walks to Ash, glancing down at you as he passes by.
そいつらがサーシャさんに渡した名刺は本物でした。写真も入党記録も全て一致しています。その女も正真正銘の弁護士です。左京先生のアシスタントで間違いありません。
Ash falls silent for a few seconds, glancing back and forth between you and Artem. In the end, he chooses to break the balance in the room.
わかった。解放してやれ。
Private room in the mahjong parlor. The room is dim with a ceiling fan lazily spinning overhead. It hurts a little when the tip is stripped off, but fortunately no marks are left. You immediately walk up to Artem after he is freed. He is looking down, checking his wrist to release the tension. Mr. Wing, are you okay?
私は大丈夫だ。君は？
You nod to Artem to indicate that there is no need to worry, and his expression calms down a little. Artem then stops what he is doing, turns around and faces Ash directly. In an instant, he becomes as arrogant and as disdainful as he was before.
アッシュさんは客の扱いに長けているらしい。そうだと知っていれば、こんな厄介ごとに手を出そうとは思わなかったがな。
Artem's words are sharp, while Ash remains calm and even smiles. Perhaps he doesn't take you too seriously at all. No one around dares to make a sound. You closely observe the atmosphere between the two, staying extremely cautious.
普段はチヤホヤされてばかりだから、たまには辛辣なことを言われるのも悪くない。どの世界にもルールってものがあるだろう。左京先生には申し訳ないが、こちらに合わせていただかないと。
Ash casually wipes away the previous unfriendliness, and his upturned lips seem as if he is about to become a fable with Artem in the next second. However, with a sudden shift in tone, his face falls and his voice changes. It couldn't be more fitting to describe Ash as unpredictable.
あなたは確かに遠方からいらしたお客様だ。約束もしたが、この状況を見てたら、少々気が変わった。報酬について改めて相談させてほしい。左京先生、ちょっと高すぎないかい？
どういうつもりだ？約束を破るのはルール違反だろう。
Artem coldly questions, Ash just shrugs, propping up his chin with one hand.
そうだね。左京先生がお一人で来てたら、この手は取れなかったが。でも、彼女がいてくれるから、交渉の余地はあるかと思って。
Me? Like a cold-blooded animal spotting its prey, Ash stares on you.
あなたはただのアシスタントじゃない。違ったかな？
What are you talking about? I don't understand.
とぼけても無駄だよ。
Ash pulls out a pistol from behind, playing it casually in his hand. Seeing this, Artem immediately steps forward to shield you. 何のつもりだ？
何のつもりだ？
Ash pulls out a pistol from behind, playing it casually in his hand. Seeing this, Artem immediately steps forward to shield you. 何のつもりだ？
何のつもりだ？
Ash pulls out a pistol from behind, playing it casually in his hand. Seeing this, Artem immediately steps forward to shield you.
あなたたちとサーシャの面会はモニターを通して一部始終を見させてもらった。
That blue diamond ring setting. You immediately understand why the lady was caressing her ring, while Ash's teasing voice continues trying to uncover a secret between you and Artem.
俺もこの道で生きてきた身だ。彼女を見る左京先生の目が全てを教えてくれたよ。自分の行動を振り返ってみたらどうだい？あんな必死になって守ろうとして。まあ、これ以上は野暮だからやめておこう。
What are you talking about? Mr. Wing and I are simply just work partners.
アッシュさん、無論な想像をするのは勝手だが、妄想を吹聴して回るのはいただけないな。
Feeling a wave of sudden anger, Artem and you start retorting. The care and concern between you and Artem as companions somewhat becomes twisted in his mouth. Suddenly, you remember the light red hue of neon lights on Artem's face and the way you both say goodnight at the same time.
まだ強がるのか。気持ちはわかるが、なんと言ってもそういう関係は取引先からすれば格好の餌だ。隠しておくに越したことはない。
Are you still talking nonsense? Ash Leslie glances at you, not caring about your anger.
まあまあ静かに。ここが俺の縄張りだってことを忘れちゃったのかい？部をわきまえた方が身のためだろう。どうしても認めないならこうしようか。左京先生、選ばせてあげるよ。簡単な選択問題だ。先生のアシスタントの安全と引き換えに報酬は5割負けてもらう。もしこの金額に満足できないなら全額ご用意しよう。ただし
Ash slowly raises his hand without any emotion, aiming the gun at you. His index fingers on the trigger. The fan keeps spinning intermittently, making a noisy sound.
所詮ただのアシスタント。替えなんかいくらでも見つかる。我が社の重大な秘密に2人も人間を関わらせるなんてちょっと多すぎると思ったんだ。左京先生だってそう思うだろう。
You hold your breath, your palms growing cold. You haven't anticipated things would go this far. In Ash's eyes, you see his madness. Either Artem admits there's something between you two, or he chooses to be a lone wolf. But no matter what Artem chooses, Ash will lose out. What should you do next? Your heart is racing, almost jumping out of the truth. You instinctively turn to Artem for some relief. His expression is as cool and as steady as ever, but his right hand is clenched into a fist. After a long while, he finally speaks word by word.
評判通りの卑劣さだな、アッシュさん。認めよう。私の目の前で彼女が死ぬようなことがあれば、到底耐えられない。
Subtle yet sincere, anyone can get it right away without much thought. There's something special between Artem and Joe. Though you know the response is out of necessity, your heart still skips a beat, and you subconsciously turn your head away. Ash notices your reaction and grins triumphantly. It is only then that you realize your unconscious gestures have made this secret relationship seem even more real. You lead Ash to believe he has found a loophole and exposed the so-called assistant trick.
左京先生、最初から素直に認めればよかったのに。じゃあ、俺たちの取引は約束した金額の5割でいいね。
Once a delicate balance is broken, there is no possibility of restoration. Ash's tone is very confident, believing that things would develop as he wished. Artem still maintains a proud attitude, with no hint of compromise in his expression.
いや、約束通り報酬はいただく。そして、 彼女にも指一本触れさせやしない。
この後に及んでまさか本気で自分に交渉を持ちかける権利があると思ってるのかい？
当然だろう。アッシュさん、念のために言わせてもらうが、彼女は一人の弁護士だ。私との間柄とは無関係にな。ハイリスクな取引を行うのに、彼女をここまで連れてきた理由など説明するまでもなく、あなた方の厄介事の処理に彼女の協力が必要不可欠だからだ。
Looking straight at Ash, Artem suddenly raises his hand and rubs his arm around Joe's shoulder. The warm light falls on both of you, appearing affectionate and intimate. His breath envelops you, and you pause for a moment, feeling slightly disoriented. But you can't show any sign of doubt. Right now, Artem and you are each other's secret lovers.
私の大切な人に手を出すというのであれば、こちらにも考えがある。彼女の安全を取引に利用するなら、先ほども言ったが、私には時間がある。ディレンメアにも同じことが言えるのかどうかは、アッシュさんがよくご存知だろう。さて、あなたからの質問をそっくり返すが、私に交渉を持ちかける権利があると思うか？
How impressive! Mr. Wei, he instantly turned things around. You thought that Ash would get angry after hearing this, but he freezes for a second before bursting out laughing. He quickly puts away his pistol. The underling standing by promptly offers Ash a glass of whiskey on the rocks. He shakes the glass and takes a sip, the ice cubes clinking against the glass with a crisp sound.
いいねいいね、大した御仁だ。感服するよ。ただこういう話を聞いたことはないかい？同業者は皆ライバルで、手を組んだら最後共倒れするしかない。左京先生も気をつけて。恋人同士のビジネスは大抵悲惨な結末を迎えるものだよ。
That's between me and Artem. It's none of your business. As Ash's provocations hit you, you instinctively take a step forward and retort without thinking, even changing how you address Artem. Is it to cooperate with his performance, or to respond to that irreplaceable and beloved? In such a moment, you have no time to think it through.
ああ、その通りだ。
Artem hugs you tighter, and Ash looks at you too. The suspicion in his eyes gradually fades, replaced by a growing curiosity.
へえ、本当に連理の枝のようにつながってるわけか。どうやらさっきの条件だと取り付く島もないらしい。それじゃあ別のご提案だ。先生、賭け事は得意かい？
何をかけるつもりだ？
ここに来たからには麻雀を打ってもらわないと。掛け金は遊び程度じゃつまらない。ここは大きく出ようか。そっちが勝った場合、約束の報酬は倍にして支払おう。
では、負けたら？
負けた場合は、左京先生には苦労をかけるが、島での滞在期間を延期して別件の処理を頼みたい。無論お一人でだ。
Ash talks a good game, but you both know full well the dangers of being left alone. What if we don't want to gamble?
俺も悪魔じゃないから無理強いはしない。負けを認めてくれればいい。2分だけ考える時間をあげる。期待を裏切らない答えを出してくれることを祈ってるよ。
The tiles are scattered on the mahjong table, and Ash casually picks up one, waving it before your eyes. It is a red dragon. Autumn leans down to whisper in your ear, and your hair nearly touches his face as you raise your head a little.
麻雀をやったことは？
I know a bit, but Ash is definitely an expert, and I'm not confident I can beat him. Are you sure you want to bet?
ああ。ここにいる人たちの大半が冒険を好むたちのようだからな。書けないのは得策じゃない。君ができるなら心強い。麻雀は運と計算がものを言うゲームだが、私たちなら必ず活路を見出せるだろ
I have basically never played mahjong. Are you asking because you've decided to gamble?
う。ああ、ここで乗らないのは不自然だ。いわゆるアウトサイダーな者たちは、大抵賭け事には目がないからな。
So I'll just watch from the side. If I join the game, I'll only end up holding you back.
心配しなくてもいい。君は運がいい方だろ。パイを引く役を任せよう。私を信じてくれ。二人なら必ず勝利をつかみ取れる。
Artem answers without hesitation, calming your anxiety. Okay, then I believe in your belief. Hearing this, his expression shifts slightly. Through the lenses of his glasses, you can see something welling up in his eyes. What kind of emotion is it? You want to take a closer look, but at this moment, Ash, sitting opposite the mahjong table, slams his whiskey glass down on the table.
時間切れだよ。結論を聞かせてくれ。勝負をする気になってくれたかい？
無論受けて立つ。大儲けする機会を与えられて、みすみす逃す手はないからな。アッシュさんが場を利用して、イカサマを仕掛けるようなずるい真似をしない限り、いくらでも付き合おう。
この俺を何だと思ってるんだ。麻雀がどれだけ神聖なものかわからないのか？
なら構わない。そうだ、一つだけ。我々は、この地域の麻雀のルールにはさほど詳しくないから、二人一組の形式で参加させてくれ。理不尽な要求ではないと思うが。
それくらい問題ないよ。お行儀のいい部下を二人呼んでこさせよう。
Ash takes another sip of whiskey, then calls over Xiang and another man named Kun. Ash's gestures and tone make it obvious that he is a true mahjong enthusiast, and he clearly admires the risk-taking nature Artem displayed. You each roll the dice and sit in the positions of east, south, west, and north based on the numbers. The mahjong tiles rolls on the table, making a clattering sound. Xiang gives a detailed introduction to the rules of the local mahjong on the island. Artem and you clearly divide the rules, and with you drawing tiles and him playing them. After trying out 2 rounds, you two have a basic understanding of the local mahjong rules.
二人とも準備はいいですね。
もちろん。
はい。
では始めましょう。こちらのルール通り、連チャンありの4局戦で行います。点数は50歩から加算して最高128歩まで。勝敗は終局時のこの得点によって決まります。
Ash raises his eyebrows and looks at the two of you. Artem returns with a faint smile. The gamble is about to start. The mahjong tiles with their golden and jade-like hues are neatly arranged in a row. Artem lowers his head to examine them closely, one distinctly jointed hand resting on the end of tile roll. His crisp suit and thin framed glasses give him a refined look, while the mahjong tiles and the lingering smoke in the room gives off a down-to-earth feel. Such a contrast makes him feel special, and you can't help looking at him a few more times.
どうかしたのか？
Nothing, just try to see you play mahjong.
もし君に興味があるなら、帰った後に時間を見つけて遊んでみてもいいかもしれないな。
Artem responds naturally and cheerfully, and it sounds like a sincere invitation.
だが、今はパイに集中してほしい。
You nod and shift your gaze to the row of mahjong tiles, but unlike Artem's relaxed expression, the tile patterns are so chaotic that it's hard to know where to start. Most tiles you got are H tiles and honor tiles, and there are no pairs, let alone a form sequence. Your luck in drawing tiles couldn't be worse. Well,
おや、ハイパイが良くなかったのかい？あなたは感情が表に出やすいタイプだな。これじゃ考えてることが丸分かりだ。
under the soft yellow light, Ash gives a playful glance and speaks again with a tone of suspicion and prying. It seems that for Ash, exposing the street just isn't satisfying enough. He also wants to see what you and Artem are really like in real life.
彼女はいつも落ち着いている。ただ、一緒に麻雀をする機会が少なく、場に慣れていないだけだ。
ははなら、ビジネスのない時は何をして暇を潰してるんだい？ぜひ参考にさせてくれよ。
Mr. Ash, we're not having a tea party now. You can't help but interrupt him. Prying into others' privacy under the guise of learning is really annoying.
なんだ、ただの世間話じゃないか。そうヒステリックにならずに。
それでは、アッシュさんの昔話を聞かせてもらえないだろうか。実は、来る前に少し耳にしていて、かなり興味深いと思っていてな。
なんだと？
A direct hit to Ash's weak spot. He grits his teeth and lets out a single grunt, saying nothing more. The current piece is really satisfying. Artem leisurely arranges the tiles and gives you a slight nod.
私たちの番だ。
Oh, okay. You reach out to draw from the tile wall, but as fate would have it, another useless each tile appears. 9 characters. It's better that I don't draw at all. You awkwardly withdraw your hand, feeling like you're unlucky enough to let Artem down. But he calmly puts these 9 characters into your tile roll and pulls out another tile.
悪くない。まずは、ウーワンを。
Huh? Artem's hands remains resting on the end of the towel roll, his demeanor as poised as ever. As the mahjong game continues, you suddenly realize what kind of hand Artem is trying to form and can't help but lean closer to his ear. To others, you two look like an overly affectionate couple whispering sweet nothings, and even when playing mahjong. Artem, isn't this too risky? What if we can draw the right tile?
そう不安にならないでいい。君の幸運を信じている。
Private room in the mahjong parlor. This gamble has taken a twisted turn, mixed with prying and confrontation. Even the warm light in the room feels cool and eerie. In the next 3 rounds, Ash keeps seizing opportunities to make things difficult. Fortunately, Artem and you are in perfect sync and aren't making any mistakes in the details. With your luck and Artem's calculation, so far you've been neck and neck with Ash in terms of money won, keeping the game tight. Another round ends, and the 136 mahjong tiles are neatly stacked again. Ash glances over while picking up the tiles.
先生、このままじゃ俺が勝ってしまうが、大丈夫かい？残り1局。これが最後の逆転のチャンスだよ。
心配はいらないさ。すぐに追いつくからな。
The battle on the mahjong table is unusually intense, and the dim light makes it hard to tell if time is passing. In the blink of an eye, the final moment comes, with your winnings exactly matching Ash's, and only 4 mahjong tiles remaining on the table. Everyone holds their breath, and even the occasional mosquito flying through the air dares not make any sound.
これなら通るだろう。チーソーだ。
くそ。いいワンだ。
スーピン。
No one deals into a win, and there's only one tile left. Your final draw will decide the outcome.
緊張しているのか？たとえ流局になっても、これなら負けにはならないから、安心しなさい。
You nod and take a deep breath, and then reach out to touch the last tile on the table. Soft draw, the last red dragon.
なんだと。
どうやら、私たちの勝ちのようだな。
Ash can't believe his eyes. He stands up abruptly, pushes aside your mahjong tiles, accidentally knocking over the whiskey glass placed nearby. Whiskey liquid drips down from the table edge, splashing onto the floor and forming an irregular amber star-like pattern.
小三元に背底らをゆえ、どこまで悪運強いんだか。いいとも、俺の負けだ。ここまでやられたら完敗を認めるしかない。
You can't tell if it's just your imagination, but after losing at Mahjong, Ash's behavior seems even more natural.
では、先ほどの条件は？
安心したまえ。このアッシュに二言はない。約束は果たそうじゃないか。
それは何より。話がまとまったのであれば、私たちはこれで失礼する。約束通り、また明日会おう。
The dim light seeps through the gaps in the father's Venetian blinds. Artem straightens his clothes, preparing to take you away from here. The game is over and night is falling. It should be time to leave, but Ash hasn't moved from his spot.
おっと先生、そう急がなくてもいいでしょう。せっかくの機会だ。おもてなしをさせてくださいよ。
Ash's expression shifts as quickly as the chameleon's colors. One moment he is in shock, and the next he is grinning like a fox. The ceiling fan above starts to creak again.
どういう意味だ？
そうかしこまらずに。麻雀を一緒に打ったのなら、我々は友人と言っていいはずだ。どうせ明日には会うのだから、二人の安全を考えて、俺のところに泊まってもらいたい。その方が手間も省けるだろう。
Artem and you look at each other. The situation takes an unexpected turn once again, which is undoubtedly orchestrated by Ash. You are uncertain if he is truly concerned about your safety or he only wants to use this as an excuse for surveillance. And both of you immediately realize that, given your current relationship, Artem and you will inevitably be arranged to live together.
私たちは。
Artem frowns, his tone hesitant and reluctant. You know he doesn't want to make things difficult for you, but you're already in too deep. Backing up now would look too suspicious. Without a second thought, you actively stand closer to Artem, link your arm with his and force a smile. Since Mr. Ash is so kind, let's stay here.
君がそう言うのなら。
Residence. You follow Ash and his underlings to the place he arranged, and by the time you arrive, it's already night. Compared to the high-end hotels in the upper district, this place can only be called an inn. The room is small and old, with limited furniture consisting of a bed, a single sofa, a small coffee table, and a basic shower room.
悪いが、下町は資源が限られてるから、こんな部屋しか用意ができないんだ。
Well, at least it looks pretty clean. It's okay.
彼女が問題ないのであれば、依存はないが。
Before he can finish, Arthur notices something and walks into the room. The night sky is interwoven with starlight and a breeze blows through the window. He frowns.
共に麻雀を打てば友人と言ったが、どうやらあなたは嘘つきのようだ。まさか、こんな卑怯な手段で私たちを監視するつもりだったとはな。
左京先生、急にどうしたんだい？何か誤解があるなら。
誤解？
Artem doesn't feel like arguing with Ash. He bends down, pulls out a small device from the corner of the single sofa, and throws it straight at Ash's feet. A mini camera?
こちらも場数を踏んできている。こんなくだらない小細工が見抜けないとでも思いましたか？本当に取引を続ける気があるなら、この部屋にある不要なものを撤去していただきたい。
Upon seeing the mini camera, Ash does not show any surprise, merely giving an awkward smile.
これは申し訳ない。俺はこんな指示を出してないんだが、大方部下が余計な気を回してやったんだろう。ほら、さっさと部屋の中のガラクタを処分しな。
はいボス、すぐ片付けます。
Xiang steps forward and in just a few words, Ash distances himself completely, but to say he doesn't know anything will fool no one. After Xiang has finished, Artem carefully examines the room again to make sure there are no unusual devices. After exchanging a few polite words, Ash leaves, leaving Xiang, Kun, and a few other underlings standing guard outside the room to provide the so-called protection and care. You and Artem are the only ones left in the room. You sit on the edge of the bed and he leans against the grey wall. Both of you are watching toward the door, remaining vigilant. Ash's people are still watching outside. Mr. Wing and I should probably see something to play our parts better. You sneak a peek at Artem, trying to figure out what to say. In this situation, he should not mind you going too far. Darling, I think we'll have to choose a good transaction partner next time we do business. This Ash always does not play by the agreed rules and let us live in such a rotten place. So inconsiderate. Hearing you address him that way, Artem is first taken aback, but quickly realizes you are putting on a show for the people outside.
そうだな。今度は依頼を受ける前に、相手の経歴をもっと徹底的に調べておこう。仲介人の強い推薦と破格の報酬がなければ、私もこんなところまで来る気にはならなかった。この件が終わればすぐに帰る。もう少しの辛抱だ。
Well, I guess that's the only way. The starlight falls and covers you both, and the conversation about business continues. You and Artem appears like a real couple. After you two finish another topic, someone knocks on the door.
失礼します。今日ですが、食事を買ってきました。
The aroma of roast meat wafts through the door crack. Jiang opens the door and places two steaming bags of meal boxes on the coffee table.
俺らの行きつけの店の盛り合わせなんです。美味しいと思うんで、ぜひ食べてみてください。
ありがとう。
礼には及びませんよ。お二人はもうボスのご友人ですから。じゃあ食事はここに置いたんで。俺らも一日疲れたし、先に下で休ませてもらいます。何かあれば呼んでください。
Xiang speaks and moves naturally, but his gaze keeps starting to the bottom of the meal box, which reminds you of how he looked at you in the mahjong parlor. After putting down the meal box, Xiang turns around and leaves, closing the door. Then his voice comes from outside.
コウジ、そろそろ休め。もう随分と遅い時間だし、これ以上見張ったところで何も起きないだろう。
さすが今日の兄貴、気が利きますね。俺もうクタクタなんですよ。
The footsteps of several people gradually fade along with the creaking of the wooden stairs and finally disappear completely in a certain moment. This Xiang.
彼は意図的に監視が解けたことを告げようとしていた。それに、あの目は。
Artem opens the plastic bag, takes out the meal box, and uses disposable chopstick to search through the rice dishes with barbecue pork and soy sauce chicken. At the bottom of one of the double combination dishes, you find a tiny object wrapped in a thin film, a button-type recording device. Recalling everything that Xiang had done in the mahjong parlor, the subtlety of it all begins to take on a concrete gas. Could it be? Artem flips the button-type recording device over, revealing an irregular mark on the edge.
IFRA からはディレンメアに潜伏した人物の詳細を聞いていない。何にしろ重要機密だからな。しかし今日という人物のこれまでの行動とこの装置に刻まれた国際保安記号を見た限り、彼が IFRA からディレンメアに送り込まれたスパイなんだろ
う。As for Ash, he's unpredictable. Not only did he test us in advance, but he'd also keep us here. Is that why he would take such a risk to help us in this way?
おそらくそうだろう。私たちの証拠集めに支障が出ることを危惧したのかもしれない。
Recalling the devices hidden in the hotel that are supposed to be used in the original plan, you can't help but feel a little regret. If nothing had gone wrong, they would be much more useful. Fortunately, when you left today pretending to check things out, you had hidden all the documents and equipment, so even if Ash becomes suspicious and searches, he won't find any clues. Artem quietly puts away the recording device and the light flickers as he moves closer to you.
今日はいろいろなことが起きた。当初の計画は使えそうにないから、今一度明日のことについて話したい。
Now that we have this recording device, can't we just film the entire contact process? Is it still necessary to risk transmitting Dylan Mary's confidential files to IFRA?
いや、それでも文書は必要だろう。物的証拠として映像記録は有効だが、文書そのものが持つ効力には及ばないからな。しかも、アッシュはかなりのやり手だ。動画だけでは逃げ切られる恐れもある。
Indeed, we'll have to come out with an idea.
実は IFRA から提案された計画はもう一つあるんだ。彼らは機密性の高いウェブサイトを持っている。事前にディレンメアの内部ネットワークに侵入したところ、そのサイトの投稿から追跡するまで少なくとも30分はかかるらしい。取引の最後に何らかの騒ぎを起こして混乱に乗じて集めたデータをサイト上にアップロードするのも手の一つではあるだろ
う。Create some distractions and we can leave after the transaction is completed. Hey, I have an idea. You exchange ideas with Artem until starlight grows brighter. Last night and tonight are the same, yet everything feels different. In the end, you two decide to pretend to argue in front of Ash. When the argument reaches its peak, Artem will take advantage of the chaos to send the documents. Once IFRA receives the documents and traces the location, they can arrive at the scene in as fast as 35 minutes. You should be able to escape safely before that. After finalizing the details, you both feel more relaxed. Artem then pushes open the unsealed wooden window on the other side, allowing the night breeze to blow through the boundless night. The conditions here are bad, but the night view is surprisingly beautiful.
確かにな。そういえば、君に謝りたいことがある。アッシュに選択を迫られたとはいえ、あのような開始しか思いつかず、すまない。結果的に、私と一緒の部屋に泊まることを強いてしまった。
Artem suddenly brings it up, leaving you stunned. You haven't realized that the excuse he had to say has been on his mind all day. Somehow, you think he shouldn't feel guilty, just like worry shouldn't show on his face. It's okay, I understand the circumstances at the time.
だが、あの時言ったことは、
Artem frowns slightly, and there is an emotion in his eyes that you don't understand. Is your answer too formal? And what is he trying to say? Hmm? Not just what?
いや、なんでもない。アッシュの言っていたことを君は覚えているだろうか？
Artem does not repeat which specific sentence, but you immediately remember. Fellow professionals are natural rivals. Couples in the same profession have a breakup rate of over 50%. Of course I remember. I really wonder where he heard such a rumor.
そうだ。君の言うように信憑性に欠ける言葉だ。私の知る限り成功例は多く、それも決して低い確率ではないからな。
Eh? Artem and you look at each other, and you find his eyes are so profound, like the vast sky and boundless sea. You suddenly remember something. Artem's parents could indeed be a successful example of a couple in the same profession. The stars are high up, the night deepens, and the night breeze comes colder. He closes the window again.
もう遅いから、君は先に休むといい。
What about you?
私はソファーで十分だ。もう少し考えを整理してから寝る。
Perhaps the events of the day have left you too exhausted to think further. This night, you sleep soundly and dreamlessly. When you wake up, Artem has already washed up and is tidying his clothes. He notices you're awake and greets you with a smile. The sun is shining brightly. Before you can even return a good morning to Artem, Xiang's voice rings out again from outside the room.
左京先生、そろそろ出発のお時間です。準備ができたら下まで降りてきてください。
わかった。
Conference room. After about 50-minute drive, you arrive at the Lunmeier Group headquarters. It's located at the border of the upper and lower districts and behind a private building. Ash first takes you on a brief tour and then leads you to a rather secluded meeting room. The meeting room is filled with a cool technological vibe, which is a stark contrast to the chaos in the lower district that you saw yesterday.
なかなかいい立地を選んでいる。区画の境は管轄が乱れやすいからな。裏稼業にはうってつけだ。
さすがだよ左京先生。この辺りは最初からどちらの管轄か揉めてて、今じゃ誰も手をつけなくなったんだ。大事さえ起こさなければ多めに見てもらえる。とても都合がいい場所だよ。
私も先ほど見て回って気づいたが、ここには最低限の監視カメラすら設置されていないようだな。
ここは普段社内の人間しか来ないし、特に必要なかったからな。ほら、ご存知だとは思うけど、カメラなんか必要な場所にあれば十分だろ。でないと仕事がやりにくい。
You're right, Mr. Ash. Surveillance footage could turn into evidence in court. Ash smiles but doesn't respond to you. Then he soon turns serious as he points to something on the conference table.
さあ、雑談はこれくらいにして、そろそろ本題に入るとしよう。ここにある書類すべてに目を通していただき、不備があれば改めて調整してもらいたい。他の詳細な情報と内部システムの操作方法はパソコンに入ってるよ。後で確認してくれたまえ。
Ash doesn't go into specifics, seemingly not wanting his people to know more details. Only the word readjust makes you instantly understand its deeper meaning in this context, faking and forging.
そうそう。特に気をつけてほしいことがあったんだ。こちらの要求を達成するまで、この部屋から出るのは控えてくれ。お手洗いを使う場合は、案内役を伴ってもらうよ。
私も様々な業務を経験してきたが、軟禁された状態で働くことになるとはな。
A cool light falls down, with Artem and Ash standing precisely on opposite sides of the light and shadow. Hearing Artem's complaint, Ash gives a half smile and shrugs his hands.
すまないな、左京先生。こちらにはこちらの事情があるもので。何事においても用心に越したことはない。誰だって家にネズミが入ってきたら嫌だろ
But Mr. Ash, aren't we friends? Answering a rhetorical question with another rhetorical question is the best way to strike back, especially since the word friend was first brought up by Ash. He stares at you and Artem in silence for a few seconds, then finally lets out a long sigh.
まあいいか。友人をないがしろにするようなやつだと言いふらされてはかなわない。立場さえわきまえてくれれば、京都工事の同伴で自由に出入りして構わないよ。
ああ、了解した。
Conference room. Ash gives a few more instructions and then claims he has something urgent to handle and leaves the meeting room, leaving Xiang and Kun along with other underlings to guard outside the room. Only you and Artem are in this room, yet the tense and serious atmosphere remains. The so-called necessary camera in the corner of the ceiling is flashing red and rotating mechanically. Artem gently adjusts the button that conceals the recording device, looking calm and composed. Then he casually picks up a stack of documents and flips through them.
この契約書はかなり複雑だな。まずは内部システムの使い方を確認してみよう。いつものように頼む。君は書類を緊急性の高い順に仕分けしてくれ。一つずつ確認していく。
Understood. The screen of the laptop turns from light to bright, and the words are reflected on Artem's lenses. You also immediately get to work. You flip through the white pages and see the shocking details hidden between the lines. You take a deep breath, trying to suppress your displeasure. No matter how absurd it is, you and Artem are in a gray area now, and your job is to cover up for them. Artem quickly finishes reviewing another contract file and hands it to you. You take it and place it one side apart from the others. As your glance sweeps over the text circled in pen on the document, a sense of puzzlement arises. Actually, even if we modify the electronic contract's content based on the paper version, but we can't modify the original signing date. Can this really work?
その点については、彼ら自身が対処することで、我々の知ったことではない。契約相手は死ぬか、罪を着せられるか、それとも証拠を燃やされるか。どうあれ、こちらには関係のないことさ。報酬を受け取った以上は、やるべきことをやればいいのだから。
Artem replies with a casual and familiar tone, posing as an experienced underground lawyer. His gaze sweeps over the screen, then falls back on the new document on his lap.
この書類は保証人に関するものか。流動性の担保を切り口にすることは可能だろうか。
In the international financial guarantee law, floating charge serves as a non-fixed form of guarantee. In a small and dim room not far from the meeting room, the only light comes from the glow of the electronic screen. Ash is carefully staring at the monitor screen. The voices of a man and a woman sounds unreal due to the mechanical processing.
相性バッチリと言わざるを得ないな。スピードも申し分ない。その場しのぎの出任せじゃなかったわけだ。彼女を連れてきたのも、彼女でなければならない理由も。
Before Ash finishes speaking, the scene on the screen changes again. The couple he described as being in sync are now arguing over the contract details. In the dim light, Ash watches the scene with a smug smile.
ああ、褒めてやったのに、こんなすぐ喧嘩を始めるなんて。この様子だと、普段からきっと。やっぱり俺の思った通り、同業者がつるんでうまくいくわけがない。仲間割れするのがオチだ。
Awesome. I still think it would be safer to change the payment method in this contract to a check. Dylan Mayer is a multinational company, and using checks makes more sense than bills of exchange and promissory notes. To make the final conflict feels more real, you and Artem pretend to argue over minor issues shortly after beginning to organize the documents. After several rounds of arguments, you remain fixed on your opinion while he just keeps flipping through the contract without even looking up.
君の主張はあくまでその方が合理的だというだけで、そうしなければならない理由はない。約束手形は振出人と受取人の間でのみ交わされる取引で、国際交易法の規制が強い小切手よりも融通が利くと言える。
But in the contract,
言葉を慎んでもらおうか。これが最善の策なのだから、君は私の言う通りにすればいい。
he directly interrupts you, decisively dismisses your suggestion, and the atmosphere suddenly becomes subtle. You purposefully frown toward the camera, trying to appear displeased, as if such embarrassing scenes have played out many times. From that argument onward, the subtle tension escalates so uncontrollably that every time you discuss legal provisions, Artem and you end up arguing. From petty and repeated disputes, a shadowy flame has now arisen, burning fiercer with every passing second.
その書類を渡しなさい。
It is the last contract that needs to be reviewed. Artem can easily reach for the paper version with a lift of his hand, but instead he looks at you. The cold light is emotionless, but it sheds light on Artem's intentions. He wants to show his dominance in such a direct way. He looks at you, but you remain silent.
聞こえなかったのか？その書類を渡しなさい。
Fine, Mr. Wing. You may have a sharp tongue, but your right hand still hands over the document, demonstrating your excellent qualities as an assistant. Artem takes the contract and glances at it, seemingly satisfied with how you swallow your pride.
それでいい。意地を張る場所は選んだ方がいいだろう。
I didn't. You grit your teeth to barely suppress the urge to recharge. In situations like this, intimate relationship feels like a joke, even more like something coated with poison. With Artem typing the last word on the laptop, all the files are finally reviewed. By forging, covering up, and uploading to the cloud, the new contract is flawless, with all issues perfectly concealed. This is the modus operandi of gray area attorneys. But the surprise discontent between you during these hours hasn't ended. It's just one spark away from bursting into flames.
書類の処理は済んだし、最後の問題を残すだけだな。
Artem casually shifts his laptop and lightly taps the desk, sending a chill rippling through the air. He is subtly reminding you that it's time to prepare for the final act. What?
ディレンメアが秘密裏に受け取った莫大な資金の移送先。彼らは私たちに案を出してほしいようだ。
There are the ones who do this for a living and they want us to come up with a plan.
先日の島で起きた騒ぎのせいで、今は警戒が厳しいからな。これまでのやり方ではリスクが高い。だから、他に法律の目をかいくぐれそうな方法を考えてほしいそうだ。君はどう思う？
Artem adjusts his glasses gracefully and slightly tilts his head to look at you. Seemingly compliant, why not establish a charity fund for sick children with the group holding a majority stake. Then transfer the foundation's funds through offshore companies to multiple overseas accounts, which would be safer.
なるほど。悪いようには聞こえないな。
His tone rises, but his voice seems to sing with the cool air.
だが、遅すぎる。正規の手続きによって基金を設立するためにかかる膨大な時間が無駄だ。まずは大金を分割して一定以下の額にする。そして数千の個人口座を通して別々の名目で送金すれば資金を効率よく流せるだろう。万が一どれか一つを追跡されても個別に対処できるから余計な問題は生じない。
He first affirms your answer, then condescendingly dismisses it and presents his own viewpoint. In the cool light, Artem perfectly plays the role of a dominant figure who controls the game in a secret relationship. But didn't you just say that something happened before, and now the situation is tense? In that case, we should choose a safer way. In the long term, if we can do this and run the process smoothly, it will be much easier.
それは理想論だろう。基金を設立して何かあった時はどうする？グループは注目の的で道連れになるかもしれない。いい案とは言えないな。
Artem immediately refutes your point of view. Every word he says reminds you that he is not only your lover, but also an attorney, and most importantly, your boss with absolute authority. Like water on the verge of boiling, your patience has reached its limit, especially after all the previous build-up. If you're already so certain about your decision, why are you even asking me?
君も私と同じ弁護士だろう。専門分野で意見交換を求めたことを責められる筋合いはない。
Discussing? Is this what you call a discussion with me? When something like this happens, you never listen to my opinion seriously, just arguing for the sake of arguing.
言葉に気をつけなさい。ただの言いがかりはよすんだ。私はただ事実を言っているに過ぎない。
Stick to the facts. Think about all the previous discussions. Every single time, didn't we end up doing things your way?
過去を振り返ったところで私の意見が正しかったことの証明にしかならないと思うが。
The camera, glowing red, turns again, and the person hidden behind it watches this drama with great interest. That doesn't mean my idea is wrong.
間違いがないと君に証明できたことがあるとでも？
Autumn's words cut deep, piercing straight to your heart. Ever since we've been together, I feel like I'm nothing but an assistant all day long. Do I have a chance to prove myself? Will you give me a chance?
君の経験が足りないから。
Enough. You're always like this, always with the same argument. Whenever it comes to work, you only believe your own ideas to be right, and you won't let anyone else speak. Have you ever thought about my... Before you finish the word feelings, you pretend to be upset that you bent over, lowering your head and placing your hand on the meeting table. To show how painful it is, you bite your lip and angrily slam the table, as if trying to vent all the inhuman treatment you have endured over this period. Artem immediately walks over to help you up, but you avoid his touch. He frowns and looks terrible. Whether you want to or not, he tightly holds onto your arm and pulls you to the sofa to sit down.
無理をしないでくれ。
He means to comfort you, but it hurts. The air conditioner in the meeting room is on full blast, but the cool air it gives off can't match the distance between him and you at this moment. At this moment, the line between real and fake blurs. You don't understand why, but a fake salt suddenly feels really hurtful. Huh. Are you feeling concerned about me now? Artem, I am an attorney too. The grip on your arm suddenly loosens. It seems that your words have challenged his control, and for the first time, Artem's expression is so rich.
いい加減にしなさい。いつまでダダをこねているんだ。
Me making a scene? Now here it comes, the climax. You push Artem back in a fit of anger and pain and start throwing everything you can get your hands on. A bang and then a crash. Pages filled with printed text flitted through the air, while the glass cup shatters into many fragments upon hitting the ground. The next second, Xiang and Kun rush in upon hearing the noise.
左京先生、何があったんですか？
落ち着いて話し合いましょうよ。
大したことではない。胃の具合が悪いようだから、薬を持ってきてくれないか。
Don't mind him. You, come up with me. I need some fresh air to clear my mind. You deliberately point at Kun, who seems somewhat confused but still nods obediently. Before leaving the meeting room, you glance at Artem, and amid the chaos, he has already found a blind spot in the surveillance. You pretend that you've calmed down and your gastric pain has eased, but before following Kun back to the meeting room, at this time, Ash also arrives with a laptop in his hand. The cold light remains. The meeting room has been thoroughly cleaned, leaving no trace. Seeing you come back, Artem ignores the others and walks straight over to you, as if nothing has happened.
胃の調子はどうだ？少しは良くなったか？機嫌を直してほしい。これからは君の気持ちと意見を考えるようにする。先ほどの件だが、私も考えを改めた。君の言う通り、今のディレンメアにはより安全な策を選んだ方がいい。
The compromise spoken by Artem carries both care and a hint of backing down, and the plot after the climax should always end with warmth. Alright, I'll let you off the hook this time. Have you taken care of everything?
ああ、完璧に片付いた。何も問題ないさ。
You exchange a glance with Artem, understanding that he has taken care of everything. So far, everything is going smoothly.
あのさ、俺もいるんだから二人きりの世界に入らないでほしいな。イチャつくのは後にしてくれないかい？
それはもう帰っていいということか、アッシュさん？
いい仕事をしてくれたから返してもいいが、念のためもう何日か滞在してもらおうか。こちらの確認が全部終わるまではな。
This is not what we agreed.
まあまあ、釣れないことを言わないでくれよ。大枚はたいてるのだから、アフターサービスを求めたっていいだろう。それに、これは正式な取引でやましいことはない。少しくらい滞在が延びても困ることはないはずだ。
Ash's tone is firm, allowing no room for argument. At the same time, he shakes his phone and the transfer amount on the screen flashes by. You and Artem remain silent, but with what he said, you and Artem have no choice but to adapt to the changes. Seeing that you don't argue further, Ash looks back and forth between his underlings on either side.
ボス、俺が左京先生たちを送りましょうか。
Xiang speaks up before Ash can say anything. Upon hearing this, Ash frowns slightly and he glances at him, but his expression remains unchanged.
いや、お前には残ってもらう。重要な仕事を任せたい。浩二、先生たちを送ってやってくれ。くれぐれも丁重にな。
Corridor. You and Artem follow Kun quietly, acting as if nothing happened, but your heart is pounding with nervousness. In less than half an hour, Ash will discover the traces of the hidden website, while IFRA will need at least 35 minutes to arrive after receiving the location information. 20 minutes have passed since the files are sent. You thought there would be plenty of time to leave before being discovered, but Ash unexpectedly adds a twist. What are we going to do? You stand side by side with Artem, asking in a volume only he can hear. The glass windows along the corridor are covered with a grey film, obscuring the daylight. Poon doesn't pay any attention to your movements, only leading the way. Artem moves closer to your ear.
慌てずに自然に振る舞うこと。後のことは1階に降りてから考えよ
Tick, tock, tick, tock. You don't know how few minutes you have left. You feel for the first time that the dozens of steps are incredibly long, which is that making you nervous and uneasy. You arrive on the first floor. All you need is to walk down the 50-meter corridor and pass through the gate with authentication, and you'll see the lights. If everything goes as you expected, Artem's plan is to attack Kun when he gets on the car at the door. We'll be up soon, don't worry. You try to comfort yourself in your heart, and you can always see Artem by your side. A gunshot sound suddenly comes from the staircase.
コーチさん、奴らを止めてください。京さんが裏切りやがった。こいつら、グルなんだ。
In an instant, Kun reacts and tries to take out something in his pocket, but Artem, seeing this, immediately rushes forward to fight him. The two are grappling fiercely, each punch landing with a brutal and horrifying impact. Meanwhile, you hear the sound of hasty and chaotic footsteps. Artem! Your mind goes blank, only to see the half-open firefighting cabinet by the corridor. On pure instinct, you sprint over, grab the small fire extinguisher, and slam it at Kun's back with all your might.
No!
You hit it. Kun lets out a muffled groan and his movements slow down a bit. Artem immediately aims a kick at his lower abdomen, sending him flying several meters away.
今のうちに早く
The next second, Artem grips your wrist and pulls you to run toward the stairs on the other side of this floor. In the vast building, winding corridors, and endless stairs, you two are running as if there's no end in sight. Artem pulls you along and runs without pause, leaving behind a vortex of curses, noisy footsteps, and alarm sounds. You carefully avoid the people looking for you and finally find a well-hidden spot somewhere in the underground. The whole room appears to be a storage room, rarely visited by anyone, with a file cabinet in the corner large enough to hide an adult.
中に入ってくれ
You waste no time crawling into the cabinet first. Noticing there is still some space around you, you quickly look up. Only now do you notice his collar and face are stained with blood. You can't tell if it's his or Kun's, but the red blood looks horrible. Artem, come in quickly. You look at him, but he doesn't speak. The touch of the metal cabinet is chilly, making you suddenly have a bad feeling. The silence is finally broken by a movement. Artem seems to want to get up, and you instinctively grab his clothes. So he remains kneeling on one knee, his hands pressed against the cabinet door, and looks into your eyes. Blood soaks through his collar, and you can smell the metallic tang of blood. The blood-red reflection from the bottom of his lenses reveals a look of determination. What are you going to do? You really hope that his answer won't be the one you fear.
今のところは安全だろうがそれでも 二人でとどまるのは危険だ。いつ来るかわからない救援をただ待つより、二手に分かれた方がいい。
Split up?
大丈夫だ。私が外に出て注意を引く。君は隙を見て1階に戻り、正面ゲート付近の制御室を目指してくれ。ここに来た時に確認したが、制御室は自動化されて無人だったから、危険はないはずだ。そこで認証システムを止めれば、ゲートから出られるだろう。
Artem calmly explains his plan, just like how you two discuss cases in the office. His answer is clear and calm, but it isn't the one you want to hear. No way! They have guns and you're already injured. This is way too dangerous. Let's stay here and wait for its rescue. I believe IFRE will arrive soon. Just a few more minutes. Just wait a few more minutes. Adrenaline surging rapidly, you grip Artem's clothes, refusing to let go. Blood seeps from the wound on his face, but he shakes his head without hesitation, his expression firm and resolute.
この2日間で起きたことを考えるんだ。予想外の出来事に見舞われる中で、救援が間に合うことを祈るだけでは、賢明とは言えない。単独行動のリスクはあるが、少なくとも同時に捕まる確率は下がる。何より、レコーダーの映像は重要な物的証拠だ。君が早く逃げて IFRA に渡せば、それだけ動きやすくなるだろう。私の言う通りにしてくれ。今はこれが最善の方法だ。
Who can't see that this is just an excuse? The electronic files are direct and valid evidence, and the video is just there to back it up. Within everything he says lies a simple hope. He just wants you to be safer than him. But the light and metal here are too cold. You still hope he can stay and share this chill with you. Even if your plan is the best way, but have you thought about my... Suddenly, you recall the line in the act. Under the cold light, what roles are you two playing together at this moment? Before you can say what you are feeling, Artem senses your emotional vulnerability and his expression softens in an instant.
信じてくれ。必ず君の元に戻ってくると約束する。
He makes a promise that is impossible to refuse, so you have to let him go. Artem pulls off the surveillance device covering the button, hands it to you, and closes the cabinet door. Your palm is stained with his red blood, but it still leaves warmth. Darkness envelops you, and all you can hear is the sound of his footsteps fading away. He will definitely be fine. IFRE will arrive soon. But Ash and the others have guns. What if... Sometimes silence is more likely to breed despair. You can't speak and can only let the chaotic thoughts weave into a web. You struggle within the invisible web, trapped in the pit of anxiety. In the endless silence, Artem's voice comes clearly from your memory.
君も手を貸してくれると言ったじゃないか。だから、私たち二人合わせて、この上ない適任だろ？
Indeed, you once told him that if we do it together, it will be much easier. You take a deep breath, forcing yourself to stay calm and push aside your emotions to think objectively. Yes, his plan is, in fact, better than just sitting there not doing nothing. At this moment, you should trust him and, more importantly, cooperate with him. So far, there are no unusual sounds outside. Anxious people should have been distracted by him. I need to go to the first floor. Corridor. You walk cautiously along the wall, and fortunately, you haven't come across any of Ash's people on your way up from the underground. And at this moment, you can clearly hear gunshots and chaos above your head, sharply tearing your attention. Don't think too much. Escaping at the fastest speed is the only way not to let him down. You stand vigilantly observing the surroundings from a hidden spot, with the control room not far from sight. No one is nearby, and the control room is just 20 meters away. That's hope. Outside the building, the long wail of sirens pierces the sky, and the roar of helicopter rotors keeps circling above the rooftop. In the end, you manage to escape the building and meet the fully armed IFRA Special Operations Team. After an intense battle, all the people resisting inside the building are surprised and escorted out one by one by the Special Operations Team. The twilight glow is tinged with a gentle warmth, yet standing outside the cordon off area, you feel extremely agonized. Where is Artem? Why hasn't Artem come out yet? You hope to see Artem as soon as possible, yet fear finding him with eyes tightly shut, drenched in red. A mobile stretcher is pushed out by the medical staff with a familiar face on it and a visible blood stain on the lower leg. Xiang, are you okay? Lying on the stretcher, Xiang hears your voice and winces, gritting his teeth as he struggles to lift himself up halfway.
弁護士さん、脱出されたんですね。俺は大丈夫です。足を一発打れただけで、大したことないんで。
It's good that you're fine, but by the way, have you seen Artem?
左京先生ですか。すみません。見てませんね。
Before he could finish speaking, Jiang is already pushed away by the medical staff. Watching him being wheeled away, you suddenly fall into the web of anxiety once again. The cobwebs are densely intertwined, each with Artem's name written on it.
私はここだ。
A familiar voice comes from behind you. You immediately turn around to look. Artem is standing a few meters away from you, safe and sound, with a gentle breeze tousling his hair. Artem! A warmth wells up inside you, and you can't help but run to him with a heart full of joy. Those 20 minutes since you parted feel like an eternity. You hold his hand without thinking and take a closer look. Apart from the earlier wounds and a few obvious scrapes on his body, there are no other injuries. Artem, are you okay?
見ての通りだ。君の元に帰ると約束しただろ。約束を破るわけにはいかないからな。
When you hear what Artem said, you finally feel a sense of relief. Your eyes meet, and once more you see the ocean and sky in his eyes. After a quick medical check and treatment, Artem and you leans against a car, watching the member of IFRA Special Operations Team coming in and out. As case-related personnel, you still need to stay at the scene.
レコーダーは渡せたのか？
Yes, the captain of IFRA Special Operations Team said that it's very helpful, and has asked the technical team to handle it. This was young just now. He was shot in the calf, but he's fine.
それを聞いて安心した。まさかアッシュにスパイだと見抜かれるとはな。
Whatever the reason, that's something IFRA needs to investigate. I suppose our task has been perfectly completed.
ああ、そうだな。
The twilight casts a soft glow on Artem and you suddenly want to know what happened to Artem after he left the room. But before you speak, two special operations team members are escorting an old friend past you. Ash now looks quite disheveled, and when he sees you and Artem, his face suddenly turns from blank to a smirk.
思った以上にお似合いのカップルだな。
The lost word couple is really stressed by Ash. He clearly has found out Artem and you were just pretending to be a couple. Ashu seems to want to say something more, but the special operations team members do not give him a chance and directly escort him into the police car. But his final words ripple out in the twilight. You find yourself recalling the confession at the mahjong parlor, the chat under the moonlight night. Would he remember them too? You suddenly realize that Artem and you have both turned heads away at the same time. There's something subtle in the air again, and you can't quite figure it out. You just feel like you two shouldn't be this silent. Or perhaps the curtain should fall on your act of playing a couple. You can't indulge in it anymore. Speaking of which, Mr. Wing, you rushed up and fought with Kun, eventually kicking him down to the ground. I'm starting to wonder if you've practiced close quarters combat before. You manage to make Atom laugh, and the subtlety also disappears in his eyes.
残念ながら、そんな心得はない。あの時は、とっさに反応してしまってな。君の手助けがなければ、あのように蹴りを入れて時間を稼ぐこともできなかったし。気がついた時には、君の手を引いて走っていた。
It means we're natural partners. Anyway, everything has been resolved. At this moment, the wind has started again, blowing on your faces and bodies with a slight chill.
ああ、ようやく終わったな。
Autumn, no longer pretending to be your lover, looks at you with a natural and gentle smile, or perhaps something continues after the act is over. Beach. After cooperating with IFRA to complete the kiss record, everything has finally come to an end. Before the trip back, you and Artem have a few days of free time to enjoy the scenery of Zanjiga Island as tourists. The sky is vast and blue, waves gently caress the shore, and sunlight falls like scattered golden fragments. At this moment, you are sitting on a viewing platform by the seaside, gazing into the distance. Finally, we can relax a bit. The scenery here is truly beautiful.
確かに絶景だな。そういえば、この辺りはマリンスポーツも有名だとか。君はサーフィンなどに興味は？
Sounds good, but I don't seem to have brought any such suitable clues, so I'll have to try it next time. Are there any other... You look toward the seaside again, trying to find other interesting things. In the end, you find an area on the beach enclosed by colorful flags, which attracts many tourists. The colorful flags flutter widely in the sea breeze, drawing all eyes toward the interesting seaside event being held there. As you turn to look at Artem, he meets your gaze, his eyes stream with a tender, warm glow.
向こうで面白そうなイベントをやっているから、
Let's go
行ってみ
take
な
a
い
look
か？
together. You two say it at the same time, which is surprising yet somehow natural. You and Artem both pause for a moment, then look at each other with a smile. Sunny day, white birds, and sea breeze. You think you will never forget these past few days, and especially this moment. Washed by the ocean waves and blue sky, the special resonance between you two will surely continue forever.
もしもし、私だ。空港で荷物を受け取っているところか。ああ、もう帰りの車に乗っていたのか。よかった。帰りの便は予定よりずいぶん早かったようだな。ん？到着時間を見計らって電話したのは急用じゃないかと？いや、このところ予想外の連続だった。一緒についていけないのが気がかりでな。だから君の声を聞いて安心したよ。ところで聞きたいことがあるんだ。 新ジガ島では多忙を極めて、最後に島を回る余裕はできたが、やはり時間は足りない。有名な市場で特産品を買わずに、君は島を離れてしまっただろう。だから私が島にいるうちに何か土産を買いたいと思ってな。気にしなくていい。君と島で過ごした時間は有意義だった。これはねぎらいの気持ちさ。では改めて聞こう。島で過ごす間、印象深いものや好きなものはあったか？目にした忘れがたい景色、美味しい食べ物、感動した瞬間、何でもいい。それでいいのか？そうか。わかった。いいだろう。明日市場を回ってみる。このままなら3日後には事務所の机で見かけるはずだ。ああ、そうだな。まだ終わらない。今回の件は関係者が多い。IFRA から追加の依頼だが、調査には協力すべきだと考えている。大丈夫だ。IFRA の保護下にいる以上、危険はない。無事に戻ってくるさ。さて、もう遅い時間だろう。家に着いたらゆっくり休みなさい。いい夜を。では。